Well, hello and welcome. It is time once again to try to fix something. And today on the workbench we have another PS5. This is not a no power. It's close to it. It doesn't turn on, I believe, but I believe this is a beep, but does not turn on. No lights, nothing like that, I don't think. So let's give it some power. Power supply is starting up. Let's see what it does, shall we? Yep, beep, and that's it. Eject beeps. But the power button beeps pretty much every time you press it, which is odd. But that's all she does. Beep, no light, nothing else. So let's get the covers off and see what we're dealing with here. And with the side plate off, I don't think I mentioned it before, but this is a 1215 model, 1215A. She has been opened before. Security tape is missing. Fan connector is not ripped. That's always good. I see lots of screws. So, yeah, somebody has been into it though. So there is that. Let me get this cover off and see how much damage we have inside. And so far, she's looking very clean inside. I don't see any damaged ribbon cables or pinched cables, for the Wi-Fi. Very clean. Very clean. So, but I'm going to go ahead and get the circuit board out. We got to get down to that circuit board. All right, well, let me take that back. There is one ripped cable. They ripped the end off of the white coax. So, that'll have to be replaced. I don't see the connector laying it. It's not in here anywhere that I see. So there is some damage. Oh well. Well, the circuit board is out, and we are looking at an EDM033 board. And I'm trying to remember. I think this beep with no lights or anything, it sounds a little bit familiar. Not 100% sure. I'm thinking that's the exact symptom you get when you have a shorted HDMI encoder IC. Let's just see if we have any shorts around that. No. Let me go to diode check. I don't think so. Does not read bad. 2245. That does not look bad. Does not look bad at all. I'm just looking at some of these capacitors, bypass capacitors around the outer edge of it. I think that's fine. Could still be bad, but kind of what I thought it would be. Let's go back to continuity mode. Maybe look around this DC-DC converter right here that makes 3.3 and 1.15 and various other voltages. See if we see any shorts. No. That's ground there. No obvious shorts there. This is a 69GG Southbridge, by the way. And I would say no obvious shorts around the, well, I'm not sure if this is the Dialog or the Rich Tech, but this DC-DC converter chip here, which does a lot of the standby supplies, for the Southbridge and whatever else. Nothing. What about the Wi-Fi Bluetooth module? Anything happening there? That's ground there. That's ground. No. Nothing obvious. What about some of these fuses? I was in continuity mode already, wasn't I? I don't think this fuse is blown because we wouldn't have any beeps or anything. Yep. And that was F7003. This is F7002. good. So that's not it. Not going. There won't be a short on the 5-volt rail, I'm pretty sure, because we're getting this stuff. We're getting the you know, we're getting a beep, so at least some of these rails over here are working. So we have 5 volts in. I'm still suspecting something to do with this HDMI encoder IC. Something. And by the way, somebody had been into this board, but I don't see any signs of work, of previous work on it yet. Haven't looked at it under the microscope. Looks like a little liquid damage discoloration there. Wonder what that's about. Let me look. Let's just look at the HDMI output. I don't think things are going to stand out there, but it won't take but a second to check. Red probe on ground. Let me get that out of the shot. Pin 1 looks normal. 2 is ground. 3 is normal. 4 is normal. 5 is ground. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 14 is nothing. 15, 16, 17 is ground. 18 and 19. Those all look beautiful. Which, even though I was suspecting the HDMI encoder, it's looking less likely that that's the case. Let me get set up. Let's take a look at the current draw of this thing. Get some power into it. See what voltages we have and we don't have. Well, I think I'm set up now. I have my leads connected properly. Let's get 12 volts into this board and see how much current draw we get. Ooh, that looked odd. That kind of looked like a short. It shot up to about 250 milliamps and went down very quickly. Yeah, it's shutting off very quickly. Almost like when it applies power to something, it says, oh no, I've got an overload, and shuts off. But what is it? Okay. Let's give it some power, and I'll just leave it on. Let's just see what kind of rails we have and we don't have. Shall we? Just curious there. Something is coming up, and maybe it's just a dead south bridge. It's not totally dead though, that's what's odd. So we should have 3.3, and we do, and 1.15, and we do. Should have, I believe, is it 2 volts right here, 1.98, that looks good. I can't remember what this one is. It's not there right now. Nothing there. 3.3 there. Very odd. The way it cuts off so quickly. But I have not been able to find a short yet. I believe this is that. Is this 5 volts going into it up here? Yeah. I think this is that 2 volt supply, or 1.98. Yeah, right above this chip. That which all looks normal and healthy. That does look an awful lot like a shorted capacitor or something somewhere on some rail that does not always have power. But as the south bridge is turning it on, it suddenly realized that there's a short. But these rails look normal. 3.3, 1.15, 2. There should be a 1.8. Where is that 1.8? take a look at something. Yeah, 1.8 on 6, pin 6. Pin 6. This is 1 on this upper right corner. Let's see if I can. Oh yeah, 1.8. It is there. So that all looks normal. So what's not normal? Well, I decided to hook up the UART reader and see what the codes were that were stored. And this is what we are getting. Same error repeated over and over again. Just short on the 1.2 volt rail, which is feeding the DDR4 RAM IC, which I believe is like a buffer IC for the SSD controller. So let's take a look in that area, see what we can find. Let's take a look under the microscope at the area around that DA9081 and see if anything jumps out at us. I don't think it's going to be quite that simple though. Would be nice, but it's not usually that simple. So basically the code saying that we have either have a short on a 1.2 volt rail, or that rail is not coming up. Is also a possibility. And I think I checked this earlier. Don't remember if I was recording then or not, but I think I checked this earlier and I did not find any obvious shorts. I'm in continuity mode. I'll show you if I hit. Well, I'm in resistance mode. Let me hit a button. Now I'm in continuity mode. Let's just see. Do we have any obvious shorts? That's like 46 ohms there. And that I can't, 380 ohms. That's ground. I did not check to see if this fuse going into this circuit is blown. It's always a possibility. Just going to check and see if I can find any shorts. And I'm pretty sure I checked. I always hit these inductors right here. These are the outputs of this DA9081. And there's no obvious shorts. So what's going on? Where is that fuse? Other side of the board. Let's flip it over and see if it's on the other side of the board. They move them around between different versions. I believe that's it right there, F7502. Which I'm going to bet is still good. Yep. It is still working. So here is that IC in question. This is that DDR4 RAM IC that the code mentions. And I need to see if that 1.2 volts is coming up momentarily or not. These big capacitors are probably on some of that. Well, they're on the 5 volts. Looks like there's 5 volts coming in from the fuse right there. That's a capacitor ground there. So those are all on the 5 volt rail. And that is probably on the 5 volt rail also. If I go here to here, yep. So that's 5 volts on these big caps. And we don't have a 5 volt short. We do not have a 5 volt short. Okay. And what I need to do is see if that 1.2 volts is coming up at least momentarily or not. Alright, so I think I'm set up now. I'm going to be looking in this area right here, which is where the power is generated for the SSD. And I'm going to give it 12 volts and see what we have on these outputs. Like this one here. This is one of the outputs. Is it 8/10? I've got nothing. Am I connected? I think I may have a connection problem there. Yeah, 0.8 of a volt momentarily. What about down here on this coil? 1.2. And what about on this corner? There's another coil. 2.5. All right, and up here on this top coil on the right hand side as we have it turned, 1.2. So that looks like they're all coming up. At least momentarily, they're all coming up. So, do we have a problem with that piece of RAM? It's always a possibility. I mean, that DA901 could be faulty, but it sure acts like it's completely healthy. It doesn't act like it's bad. So, there's the RAM IC in question. So, I'm just wondering, is this actually a problem with that chip? Or could it be something else in the SSD area that's related? Could it be a bad SSD controller? I mean, I have a feeling it's in this area of the board. It's in the SSD area. But where exactly? Well, so it seems our 1.2 volts is coming up on this IC here. Let me get it in focus. But I noticed that it's 1.2 on two corners. I wanted to figure out which one actually feeds that chip on the other side of the board. Do this little chart right here. 1.2 on each of these corners, 0.8, 2.5, the way we got the chip turned right here, right now. As you can see. This one up here, this 1.2 on this coil on this corner up here, is the one that feeds the DDR4 RAM IC. So I figured that out with continuity check on my meter. So that's where it's coming from. I was just kind of curious. But like I said, when we checked earlier, that is coming up. It's there momentarily, then goes away. Which still kind of makes me think maybe we have a bad RAM IC. Maybe it's not giving a short until we actually apply power to it. Right here. I don't know. But I have gone ahead and reballed another chip right there. And we're ready to change that out. And let's just see if that helps any at all. Well, our DDR4 RAM IC has been changed out, and I just want to apply 12 volts to this board and see if it acts any different as far as the current draw. Let's see, polarity is correct. Yes. What do we get? A real quick bump to 250 milliamps, I think is what I saw. Very quick and then right back down, which is what it was doing before. Does not look normal at all. Hits 250 and immediately shuts down. So that's where we are. I don't think that's a change at all. I did try, if I can flip this over, yeah, I did try injecting 1 volt right on this, where this 1.2 volt rail comes out of this chip. Put one, because it acts like, you know, it's the error code is like there's a short on that rail, and I did not read a short. I had like no current draw whatsoever when I injected 1 volt there. So yeah, it's a little confusing. It's not a short, it seems like, but it seems to, the system seems to think it is. Something's not right in that area. I still have not found it. All right, where are we on this EDM 033? Yes. Well, I'm kind of stuck at the moment. I did replace the RAM IC, DDR4, because that's the error indicated that was a short on the 1.2 volt rail, which I did not find a short, but that's what it said. Also, I did go ahead and replace this DA9081 IC that generates that 1.2 volts. I put an RT5127 in there just for the heck of it, just to try it. No change whatsoever. And because I was pretty sure that wasn't going to fix it, because the 1.2 was coming up, at least momentarily. But I thought I would try it before I did the next step, which I believe is going to be replacing the SSD controller here. And because it's saying this is an error related to that DDR4 RAM, which is used by this chip. So that got me to looking, and I have another board here somewhere. Let me set this to the side. Yeah, right here, and get this in focus. And this same circuit, of course, is on all the boards. But that, if I can get this in the right place. Yeah, something like that. That 1.2 volt rail that it's talking about, where'd it go? Where'd it go? Up in here. The 1.2 volt rail is coming in right here. Comes in on the end of this resistor, and you can see these vias, and it comes in here and here. It comes into several pins on this DDR4 RAM IC. But I got to wondering, does it also go down to the SSD controller? And it does, and I was able to find it with a continuity check to somewhere in here. I can't remember exactly, but basically that 1.2 volts that powers that DDR4 IC is also coming into the SSD controller. So yeah, so that's my next stop, the SSD controller, because it has that same 1.2 volt rail. Well, our SSD controller has been replaced, and we're ready to see if that has helped us in any way whatsoever. Double check that polarity, looks correct. Let's give it 12 volts and see what she does now. 320 milliamps and come back down. All right, that looked normal. That looked normal. I think we may have a working board. So let me get this, get these wires off. Those are stuck through the board because I was heating it. I didn't want them touching the heater, so I stuck them through the board. Let me take those off. We'll slip it back in the chassis and see if it will now turn on. I'm thinking it will, because that looked like a normal boot up to me. Well, I have this slipped together just enough to test, I believe. Fan is connected, LED ribbon cable is connected, power switch is connected. Let's see what she will do. That looks promising. Can we get a picture? Yes, we can. Excellent. Excellent. All right, I think she's going to live. Let me get this fully reassembled and we'll test it out some. I am going to have to replace this antenna lead, if you can see. No, it's not really going to want to focus, but one of the connectors has been ripped off. And I didn't find it anywhere in here. It wasn't attached to one of the connectors over there or anything, so I will have to come up with another antenna, but we'll get that swapped out and give it a good test. That looks good, though. Well, this PS5 is fully reassembled, and I'm installing the game off the Blu-ray drive. It seems to be working just fine. I think she's going to be a fully functional unit once again. Well, hope you liked that one. Thought it was somewhat interesting, educational, entertaining, any of the above. If you did, please give me a thumbs up, and I'll see you in that very next repair. So long for now.